So XLM for the past couple of weeks has been in a correction, and I mentioned in my last update that I was tracking a WXY structure where I'm looking at for this Y wave to tap into this region between 30 cents to 32.73 cents. And what's interesting about this recent move to the downside is we could have one of two structures that's forming right now, with one of which being bullish and one of which being bearish. And so if I zoom in, what you can see is I set out a short-term target in my last update where I have been tracking a internal WXY structure, and I'm looking at for this Y wave to tap into this region between 36.5 cents to 37.73 cents. And so for us to be bullish, what we need is for this Y wave to have bottomed out at 38.08 cents. And this structure would then form the W wave, and this rally to the upside would then form the X wave, and this move to the downside would then form the Y wave, where we could have bottomed out at 34.42 cents. Let's say if I bring in the fib tool and bring this to 42.91 cents. So what you can see is the Y wave, which is this wave here, ended up tapping into its typical range between 1 to 1.226, where again we ended up bottoming out at 34.42 cents, which is in this region here. And so it's very much possible that this Y wave is now complete, despite falling short of this region here, given that the Y wave ended up meeting the minimum requirement, which is the 61.8% retrace level. And from here on, we can then see that pump to the upside. And the flip side to that could be that we are still slightly bearish, where we could see a deeper move to the downside, where we'll then tap into this region. So if I remove some of this, it's very much possible that rather than this Y wave here bottoming out at 38.08 cents, instead we could have gone slightly deeper towards this level here at 37.73 cents. So if I bring in the fib tool and bring this to 43.42 cents. So what you can see is the 100% retrace level, which is where this target is here, is where this Y wave has hit. And so it's very much possible that this WXY structure has now formed, and that structure would then form the W wave. And then we had a short rally to the upside to form the X wave, where we more or less got rejected at the 50 MA. And we could now potentially be within this Y wave, where this Y wave would then tap into this region. Let's say if I remove this and once again bring in the fib tool and bring this to 39.98 cents. And so what you can see is the Y wave target sits between 30.34 cents to 31.98 cents. And so, yeah, we could be within this Y wave right now, which would have to be made up of a WXY structure, where this move here to the downside would be the W wave. This move to the upside would be the X wave, where once again we got rejected at the 50 main. And then we see a final push to the downside to form the Y wave. And so again, if I bring in the fib tool and bring this to 36.88 cents. And what you can see is that Y wave target, once again, more or less sits within this region between 1 to 1.226, which is where this region is. And that sits between 30.77 cents to 31.85 cents. And so, yeah, we could see one final push to the downside before we then see that reversal to the upside, where we could see high highs. And so we will need further confirmation that we are either bullish or bearish. So if I remove some of this, the bullish signal that we need is for XLM to first and foremost break through the 50 MA, and the next key level to break through would be the 200 DMA, and shortly after that it would be this local top at around 47 cents if I just mark this level out, so 47.16 cents. The bearish signal would be for us to continue to get rejected at the 50 MA, and then we see that push to the downside will then breach past this level here. And if we do so, then it's highly likely that we'll then tap into this range And it is worth noting also that on a 4-hour chart, the bears currently have the momentum. And so I will be looking out for that continuation to the downside. And so what I'll do next is I'll drop down to the hourly chart just to see what's taken place within this recent move here. Because in order for us to be bullish, what we need is for this structure here to be impulsive rather than corrective. And so if I drop down to the hourly chart, what we need is for this move here to the upside to retrace towards the 1.618 level. So if I bring in the fib tool and bring this down to 34.61 cents. And so, yeah, we failed to retrace towards this level here. And instead, we ended up tapping into the Y-wave target, which is anywhere between 1 to 1.226. As you can see, and we more or less got rejected at the 200 DMA. And we are within the oversold conditions, and so it will be interesting to see how the bulls can react. The last time that we were within the oversold conditions, the bulls never really had that much of an impact, given that we never breached past this level here at 36.88 cents. And so, yeah, for us to be bullish, then what we need is for the price of XLM to breach past this level, and we see that continuation to the upside. But as it stands right now, we are slightly bearish. You can actually see that the current price of XLM is trading below the 50 EMA. And so, yeah, as it stands, the bulls don't really have the momentum. And yeah, it will be interesting to see if we continue to move to the downside. But of course, that's something I'm going to be tracking in days and weeks to come, and I'll keep you guys updated. And so, yeah, that's just my update on XLM. Hopefully you found it useful, and if you did, then feel free to hit that like button, and if you're new, feel free to subscribe. Take it easy, people. Peace.